Welcome. I'm your host, Dustin, in another installment of our Within the Barrens episode, interviews, whatever you want to call it. We have David Howard Thornton on. It's been, what, 2 3 weeks in the making, I
Yeah,
think, for a
yeah,
while.
yeah. It's basically been like a month we've been trying to do this. So.
Yeah, just I know life things happening, and then one of the big things that happened that we'll be talking about is what kind of interrupted last time.
Yeah,
I think that's what that
that's
meeting was about.
yeah, that's exactly what that was about.
Yeah, so that's really exciting, which we'll be talking about. But I'll do a little bit of introduction for you, and then we'll go right on it. So you obviously portrayed Art the Clown. That's like your biggest feat, I guess, as of right now. It's like what you're most known for, and rightfully
Literally big
so.
feet.
Yes, it's great, and actually, a funny thing too. We actually did meet in person,
Mhm.
but it was during a very, very crazy time at Scarathon here in Massachusetts
Oh yeah, yeah,
at the hotel. That was like the last time they did it right before COVID and everything too.
yeah.
That was really fun. There was a dance party and everything, and yeah, you were
Yes.
really chill. I know there was so many people there, so it's impossible to remember
It
everybody, but yeah, that was really, really fun. And also that
yeah,
event was pretty much all based around you as well, which was really, really cool.
it was crazy.
Yeah, I think I still have the shirt too, because they made a shirt with you on it that I have in the other room that I probably should have worn, but I forgot
That's
that I even had
fine.
it.
I'm wearing a Batman shirt, so it's all
Hey,
good.
and no, that's another really funny thing too that I was gonna say is that you have done a lot of like Batman work with portraying the Joker as well. That I was reading
Hmm.
up on the IMDb that I had no idea. So you were doing clowns before art, which is
Yeah.
really cool.
Now, oddly enough, I was cast as Joker and Art the exact same week.
Oh my
Yeah, so I
god,
was like, this
you're
is
like,
insane.
this is my life now.
Yeah, I was like, I could have worse things happen in my life. So yeah, yeah, be a professional killer clown for a living. Okay, sure, I'll go with it.
That must have been really cool too, because they're in two completely like opposite sides of the spectrum. One's more like just so uncontrollable, and one's more like I know what I'm doing and I'm gonna do this.
Yeah,
So what was it like having to balance doing the Joker and art at the same time?
it was. I didn't film at the exact same time, so that was kind of cool. I
Okay,
did a
that's
little
good.
bit of art, then I was kind of done for a little while. Then I went and filmed some Joker stuff, and they had to get me back to do some more art stuff. So I was like, it's going back and forth. But I mean, like, I understand the characters both so well, so it's just I can easily just switch them on and off. So that's the easy part, especially Joker. I've known that guy forever.
Yeah, yeah. I think most of us do, and art obviously is such an original character, which was kind of brought to fruition through the All Hallows Eve movie, which I know you weren't a part of. So
Correct.
what how did it come about with you being chosen to be art for the Terrifier movies?
Yeah, that all came about because the original art, Mike Gianelli, he wanted to move off and move on and do other things with his life, and I think he just didn't want to have to go through all that makeup again, which I can understand.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they had just put up a casting notice for a tall, skinny guy to play Art that had like clowning experience, physical comedy experience, and I was focused more on stage work at that time. So it's like I did musical theater for a living basically and voiceover work, oddly enough. But I was like, yeah, I really want to start trying to get into film work and TV and all that kind of stuff. So I saw that casting notice. I had seen All Hallows Eve, so I knew the character, and I was like, oh my god, this is a perfect role for me. So
Yeah.
then I'm like, yeah, this is a small little low budget independent film. So who knows if anybody will even see this thing, but it's going to be a good thing for experience for me. I can really cut my teeth in the film world and learn all the lingo, all that kind of stuff. So this would be great. I could put it on a reel. I can do, but I never imagined it would evolve into what it has become now. I was like, this would
It's
just be
huge.
a little thing, and just boom, exploded. So I kind of lucked out there.
Yeah, and like another thing that happened too a couple weeks ago is like a bunch of really awesome art that came with the Terror Threads flows.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's cool, but then it's really funny that they did like kind of an homage to the Killing Joke, even though
Yeah.
you played the Joker, so now you are Art doing the Joker. It's like so many layers right there. It's so
Yeah.
funny.
Oh, that shirt made me so happy when I saw the first image of it. I was just like, because like Killing Joke is one of my favorite graphic novels of all time. I do several monologues from it just because I just love how it's written.
Yeah.
It's a great monologues. So I was like, yeah, I mean, see my character done up as Joker, and instead of having the ha ha ha's, having the honk 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 behind him. I was like, this is amazing because I put a lot of Joker in art as well. So I was like, this is very serendipitous. So it's like as soon as I saw that they were making this, I was like, I contacted them. Like, oh please, I have to have one of these now.
Yeah,
So they sent me one.
I think I'm waiting on mine to arrive right now. I bought it pretty much when it launched, and I think mine's arriving tomorrow. So I'm
Neat.
really really excited for that. Yeah, it's
It's a
just so,
great shirt.
it's so crazy just how big everything like went, because I saw Terrifier not when it first came out, but I think it was on Netflix for a while. I was like, I like watching things with clowns in it, and I was not expecting what that movie was going to be. I thought it was just going to be something. It's goofy. It is a goofy movie,
Oh
but
yeah.
it's so violently goofy and like way out there. I was like, I was not prepared for this.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like we definitely don't take ourselves too seriously with this kind of stuff. We're not trying to be an A24 film. So
Yeah.
we know exactly what we are. We're just trying to, harken back to the 80s and 70s slashers, and it's that kind of love letter to that genre. So we're not trying to be anything like very highbrow or anything. We know we're just dirty, gritty, just slasher, and we have fun with it.
Yeah, and it bleeds through that film, and I'm
Yeah.
so excited for Terrifier 2.
Oh
And
God.
since we're talking about that, the big
Yeah.
announcement is that you're going to be going to Screenbox and in theaters
Hmm.
all at the same time. So that's awesome. That
Yeah.
must have been like a wow. This is insane.
Oh God. Yeah. Because that's something that we've been wanting is this to be shown in theaters. But like we would have loved that with part one, but that was just probably never going to happen anyway because we didn't have the clout then. But it was like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh! I mean, part two is such a big film. It's bigger than the first one in every shape and form. So we're like, oh my God, this has got to be seen with a big audience. This can't just be, sitting on your couch at home watching it. This is one of those slashes that you have to see with a group of people and have fun with it. And so we're stoked. I think they're talking about putting us in at least 500 theaters or something like that nationwide,
Wow.
or at least
That's
like a
that's a
Fathom
lot.
event or something. Yeah, so it's like it's got to be at least for a few days or something like that. So I think right now is everybody's trying to figure out when we're going to release. We're going to release right before Halloween ends or after Halloween ends comes out because like we don't want to release the same exact time. But like
Yeah, that's like going to your funeral like right away, you know.
yeah, yeah. But it could be good for us either
Yeah.
way we do it. It's like it could be a nice palate cleanser if Halloween ends not as doesn't live up to people's expectations. People are like, okay, we'll show you how it's done.
Yeah.
Or it could be just a nice lead in into it, or it's like, who knows. But I'm like, I think it's going to be a really good movie season this fall anyway for horror fans. I mean,
Oh
because we
yeah.
got Halloween, we got even like God, Hocus Pocus 2 coming out.
Yeah,
So it's
and that's going straight to, on Disney as well. So
yeah,
there's a lot of really really cool stuff. And
yeah,
honestly, just the last like 2 or 3 years, despite of the state of the world and everything, horror has been thriving a
yeah.
lot.
Oh
Um,
yeah, there's I think that's like, during the pandemic, people were still filming. I mean, we were still filming. We found ways to do it. And I know a lot of other filmmakers, especially indie filmmakers, are out there still, getting around all the COVID restrictions and doing what they can. I mean, I even filmed a film that came out earlier this past year called The Dark Offerings. And
yep,
we filmed that exclusively over Zoom during the height of the pandemic
that's
before
awesome.
any vaccines were coming out or anything like that. So like everybody had to film it separately. So it was very weird doing that because I'm so used to being, right there with my fellow actors, and I'm having to act off, dealing with the computer screens and possible lag and all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
that was a different situation for us, but we got through it. And and that's what I thought was kind of cool about this whole thing is like, even during the pandemic, people found ways to create things. I think it drove more people to create art and stuff like that.
Yeah, I
Not
agree on
just
that
like
too.
film work, but music and just artwork, and it's like because people are just sitting home and they're just going crazy, and it's like I think in a lot of ways the arts is a really good way for people just it's therapy. It's a
Yeah.
good way to deal with this stress. And like you even look at the Great Depression, uh, everything was going just down the toilet, yet the movie industry was still thriving
Yeah.
because no matter what, people want to be entertained. They want a distraction from the stuff that's going on in life. So even especially in the worst times, the the film industry and the theater and music, the concerts, all that stuff that thrives in those moments because people need that kind of escapism.
Yeah, and now that everything can be done at home too, because everybody, you have a phone, you might have a laptop or a computer, so it's way more accessible for people to do all these things, at home, especially with music, because there's so many ways for you to create music,
Yeah.
and film as well. Like all you need is just a laptop, a camera, and
Yeah.
the movie that really proved that was Host, the one that
Hmm.
came out for the Shutter exclusive one, and that's all through Zoom, and
Yeah.
it's amazing. It's so crazy to see what people can create out of
Yeah.
desperate times.
It's so true. So very true.
And I cannot wait to see this movie. I cannot wait.
Oh
I've
man,
been
we.
people like doing like a bunch of fan art already for it, and I'm just
Mhm.
like just seeing the fan art without having any context of what's going to be going on in Terrifier 2 is it's making me ready. And I can't wait. I'm gonna bring all my friends to go see it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to see it every day that it's out.
Oh, good.
Yes,
Thank you.
we gotta get
Yes,
those numbers up.
it's a fun movie too. I mean, like I kind of look at the first film as more of a proof of concept type of film, showing you what we can possibly do with this character. I feel like in part two we kind of found our ground, and we're like, okay, now we know what people enjoy about this character and all that. So let's build on that and have fun with it. And we just went crazy with it. Oh my god, especially with the kill scenes. Holy shit! It's
That's
just
actually something I wanted to ask you too about the first one. Do you have a favorite kill in that movie that you enjoyed doing?
oh yeah, yeah. Most people would expect it to be the hacksaw scene, but I'm like,
Yeah.
I that was such a miserable experience because it was so cold and it was dangerous what we were doing to Catherine when she had to hang upside down like that. So I couldn't really have fun with it until I was actually cutting through the real prosthetic. Everything else is very nerve wracking, but the one I had a lot of fun with and I love is the decapitation of the exterminator.
Oh
That
yes.
was just fun. That was a really good kill. It's kind of funny too, just treating him like a pest dispenser than like a soccer ball. It's like
Yeah.
this is fun. It's so well done too. It's like not to toot my own horn or anything like that, but it's like it's just Damien is really good at doing these kind of kills. He understands the prosthetics and how to make them look really good, and he doesn't rely on the CG. I mean, like sometimes we might put a little CG here or there
Yeah.
when you just can't. There's no way you can do it with a prosthetic. But is like he doesn't use the CG to just do a whole kill scene. He only uses that just to enhance things. Like he might superimpose someone's face on the prosthetic or something like that. So because you can't get someone wincing when there's a knife going right through their
Yeah.
throat. So.
And I think that's the best way to kind of handle CG. Like I mean, us horror fans, we love practical. Like if we could have
Yeah,
practical all day, we would. And
yeah,
if obviously there's concepts and things that you can't do fully on practical.
yeah.
It's also kind of the same thing with CG because it will fall apart very easily because CG is still it's developing. We're still in the
Yeah,
digital world,
definitely,
and
definitely
the
so.
early digital age and everything. So being able to mix both of them just to enhance something is perfect.
Oh yeah,
Like blood
it's
splatter, have real blood, but other
yeah,
blood on top of it, CG to kind of create a bigger
yeah.
impact. Is what I think is the best way of doing it.
Oh, I completely agree. I mean, like a great example of just using blood. splatters right was like the Evil Dead series. It was
Yeah.
just like I remember like this one episode where basically like there's like a blood geyser just going off in Bruce Campbell's face, and it just keeps going, and I'm like, they really did that. It is like it wouldn't that would not have been nearly effective if that was all CG.
Exactly.
It's like when you know he's just that's just basically waterboarding him with blood. It's just like, good God, I'm not, but at the same time I'm like, God, that have been a bitch to film that. Oh my God, that must have been miserable. Hopefully they only had to do like one or two takes.
Yeah, I know.
Oh
It's a lot of
God.
product to go to waste.
Yeah, yeah, but it looks so cool. I was like, that is great. And yeah, I love that kind of stuff. It's like it should definitely be used just to enhance, and you shouldn't just be relying on it all the time. And that's
Yeah.
it's because you know when you see bad CG, you know it when you see it. It's just like, oh, that's not good. I mean, I hate saying it, but I recently watched like one of the first episode of like this season of the Umbrella Academy, and there's a scene where this one character's on a roof and he does this backflip, and it just looks so fake with the CG. It's just like this
Yeah.
is man, they couldn't have just done wire work or something like that, and it's like yeah,
Yeah,
man,
sometimes people are like, oh, well, we can do the CGI because it would be a little bit easier in a budget. But usually CGI is more expensive than
yeah,
actually having somebody do the actual thing with wires and everything. I mean, you have
yeah,
safety protocols and whatnot.
yeah.
But yeah, I agree on that. Like, if you can use
Mm-hmm.
wires. You know,
Oh,
get a stunt coordinator or somebody to go and do that
yeah,
if the
all
actor's
the
not,
time.
up to par for it.
Yeah, it's like yeah, I've had stunt doubles for a few things I've done and stuff like that, and I have no problem doing that. I'm like, yeah, if they can make it look better than I can, go right ahead. Because
Yeah.
I especially worry like sometimes we've built prosthetics for both films and like they're only a one use prosthetic, and I have horrible depth perception. And I am just like, I do not want to totally just mess up this shot because I just whiff it or I just hit it the wrong way and it doesn't go well. And I'm like, yeah, it's like I have no problem with someone else coming and being my arm for like that thing coming because I'm like, if someone else can do it better than I can, do it, please, please, please. Especially when it's one shot. So
Yeah, exactly. You want to nail that.
yeah.
And that's another thing I want to talk to you about because Art is a silent character. He's
Hmm.
he mimes a lot and he's very playful. So to get into the head of Art, what do you do? Like, do you have like a ritual that you do to get yourself in the zone, or does it come to you pretty naturally?
It just comes to me naturally. It's that's probably such a boring answer, but I just turn it on, turn it off. It's like that's how I've always been as an actor. It's like once I understand the character, I can just snap in and out of it at will. I might need a second or two just to get my thoughts there, but boom, I don't have to do the whole Jared Leto thing where I'm
Yeah,
on
super
set the whole
method.
entire. Oh God, no! It's like I think the whole entire cast and crew would kill me if I did that kind of crap.
Yeah, honestly, like going around acting as Art and doing really violent things on set would not be good.
Nah, nah. I just like I don't want to put people through that kind of stuff. I understand when someone needs like a second or two to get into that frame of mind or something like that. But if you have to do that kind of stuff all day and you're inconveniencing everybody else, especially if it's taking time away from what needs to be done, because I understand like there was something Morbius, he would take 45-minute long pee breaks
Yeah, that's
because
nuts.
he had to do the whole thing walking on crutches and stuff like that. I'm like, see, you're taking time away from everybody else. Everybody else is having wait for you to do this bullshit basically, and it's just like, come on, man, you it's called acting, just do it.
Yeah, exactly, and that's how I feel too. Like there was a definitely, I think, a point in time where method was kind of necessary, especially like way earlier on when they were still figuring things out and whatnot to
Yeah,
keep you in the zone. But I think right now, since there's so many movies and there's a lot of people who want to become actors and whatnot, and with all like the theater that's also going around, I think just go out there and just do it. I've had people on here who act and they have some really cool ways of going about it. Like some people make like a music playlist to get them
yeah,
into like the headset and mindset for that character, which I think is really cool.
Yeah.
And it's way easier than you having to be that character 24/7.
Oh
Like,
yeah. See, the music thing makes perfect sense to me too, because it's like music is it's there's something magical about music. It can just get you into the right mind frame or the right mood. I mean, I even did that a few times for Joker. I
mhm.
would just play the Waltz to the Death from the first Batman film,
Oh yeah,
or I would play some of the Joker's music from like the animated series, because it just has that kind of fun carnival like feel to it, and just like, okay, boom. And I'll do that like the first few times I played Joker. After that, I could just boom, because it was like sensory memory thing. So I would just have to think of it. I'm like, okay, boom, I know where to go with it. And plus, I'm a musical theater guy too, so I'm used to music.
that's
So
awesome.
it's
Yeah,
like you're doing songs about emotions. That's usually why you have songs and musicals. You're expressing your thoughts in ways that just pure words won't do. You have to put music behind it. Blah blah blah. It's that's, I mean, even like when you watch movies, a soundtrack can make or break a movie.
yeah,
And
that's very
you've seen
true.
it where sometimes people just change the trailer song, and it makes the trailer seem like a totally different type of movie. It's just music's a very powerful thing. So I think, yeah, it's a great idea. I know Lauren Lavere, who plays Sienna in part two. I believe she had her own music playlist that she would
Awesome.
listen to from time to time, just to get in the mindset for Sienna, especially when she was first starting out with the character, because that helped her get where she was going with it. So I think that's good. But see, that's the thing. You're doing your homework before you go to set,
Yeah,
and you're not having to take time away from everybody else, and you're not inconvenience everybody else, and you're not being a total jerk to everybody else just so you can get in that kind of character. So
especially if it's like a lower budget film. I feel like time is money.
oh god, yeah.
So you need to be there and ready and not having to do all the extra things just for you to stay in this character. I mean, obviously with a movie like Morbius, like Marvel's got so much money, do
Yeah.
whatever the hell you want, but like with Terrifier and stuff and movies along the lines of that, like you really need to be ready for that day, for that shoot, and
Yep.
make sure everybody is on their A game, because you don't want to be wasting more money on things that you
Exactly.
shouldn't be wasting money on.
Exactly. And that's the thing too. It's like there's so much downtime on set, so it's like you could just take those minutes when the crew's setting up for the next shot to get in that frame of mind or something like that if you have to. But it's like, don't take that time away from everybody else when you're supposed to be on.
Yeah.
It's just like, I mean, I feel bad when I'm like, guys, I got to go to the bathroom really bad, just to take like 5 minutes off of the set. It's like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Because I'm a very punctual person. I like schedules and stuff like that. So it's just like I get really nervous when I know we're running behind. And that happened a lot on part two, because when you're doing practical effects, things go wrong, especially with the blood tubes. Things get clogged, something's not working in the prosthetic somewhere. It's just it is, so it takes it back. So I mean, we had different days where we would have to just add an extra day, because we're like, yeah, we're behind. We have to come in for an extra day because we didn't get all we needed to do. And so that's why I don't like, to monopolize time in that way, because yeah, time literally is money on these sets. You only have X amount of time, especially with different union rules, especially when you're dealing with children, because they
Oh
have all
yeah.
the different laws with child labor laws and stuff like that. You have to, that this kid's got to only be on set from this time to this time. They can't exceed that, or you're breaking the law, type of thing. So it's like, yeah, let's get this done, guys. So yeah, just do, like I always say, just do your homework before you come to set. Be prepared, and let's just go right through what we have to do.
Yeah, I agree on that too. There's a lot of things that you can do to get yourself prepared.
Yeah.
And oh my god, just all this talk about blood and everything for this movie and whatnot. I cannot wait. So since art, I don't think is really that complex when it comes to his look, but maybe I'm wrong. So I wanted to ask you about the makeup process for becoming art. Does it take like more than 2 hours? Probably, right?
Yeah, originally it did, because we've been experimenting with the makeup process this whole entire first two films. It's like, originally, I was wearing a gelatin mask, and that doesn't hold up very well, especially if liquids get on it. So
Mm,
like my mouth would fall apart very easily, or anything under my nose. I mean, you might see some behind the scenes photos where I have Q-tips in my nose, because
yeah.
that's usually when I'm in a very cold location. So my nose would be running like crazy, and I just have those there to stop it from running into the prosthetic, because it would just deteriorate. And so that was an annoyance. Also, like the first film, I was wearing a bulb cap underneath my my hood, and we that would just take so much longer to put that on. And also, Damien would paint the makeup usually over, like the white, and then would have to let that dry, and then he would put in all the detail work with the black makeup and stuff like that. And so we've gotten it down to a science now where we've changed to a foam latex mask, and
Oh,
Damien
nice.
basically pre-paints the mask before he puts it on my face. And this mask holds up so much better. You don't have to worry about the liquids. It's a lot lighter too. So it feels like paper on the face. It's just so
That's good.
thin and light. It's wonderful, and it comes off easier. So yeah, when we first started off, it took about 3 to 4 hours. Now it takes about an hour to get
Oh,
me into
wow.
makeup.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's wonderful. I do not complain. But this has just been an experimentation process over two films. So like, I've been in that chair well over a few hundred hours. So, you learn things as you go along.
Yeah. That's good to hear that, things are being a little bit easier on you
Oh
to
yeah.
fulfill your acting, so you're not like being like, oh my God, it's falling apart. We got to stop and
Oh,
whatnot.
that's
So,
that's that's so annoying, because that takes me out of the moment, because I'm worrying about not doing certain things with my face, so I can't really just totally go full out with what I'm doing, because I'm like, oh God, if I smile too big, it's gonna on the
yeah.
side and split open, or it's just gonna start falling off, and because that happened a few times, and now I have to go back, and talking about time is money, have to go back to triage for about an hour. So Damien had to glue it all back together,
Oh
paint it, all that
no.
kind of stuff. So that's, I hated that. It was like, oh, so, and I'm like, especially I remember like one day we were filming some stuff for part two, and it was during pandemic in the summer, and it's hot, very hot day, and I'm sweating so much that like the whole lower part of my prosthetic just comes unstuck,
Oh
and I'm in the
no.
middle of the scene, and it looks like I have two jaws, because it just whoop. I'm like, oh no, and like part of it gets also the gelatin, because we're still using the gelatin, that part, it's heavier, so like it all started to droop down, so even my eyes started going
Oh
blue. So I
no.
looked like I was a stroke victim. I was like, oh no, I'm melting over here. It's just like, this is bad. This is so bad.
Oh man. Yeah, that's sad.
Yeah.
And the thing is too, like when things happen like that, because art is very, he expresses a lot in his face and his movement. So having to, when you're thinking about like, oh, it's falling apart right now, and you're doing something, you're like, I need to do this one thing with my face,
Yeah.
and I can't. So yeah, that really does suck. Oh
Oh,
man.
it's so bad. Cause like sometimes Damon's like, smile bigger, smile bigger. I'm like, dude, I can't, or this is gonna fall off. I'm so sorry. And so because we'd learned how to just film all like the close-up shots first.
Yeah.
That way, like if it didn't break or something like that, if we're doing like the further away shots, and you don't have to worry about it as much, and you should just throw blood on it. That was always our answer. Just throw some blood on it, and they won't notice the split.
Yeah, there you go. That's a good cover up, actually. That's
Yeah,
good.
yeah, just throw some more blood on it.
So I actually kind of want to take you back before Joker and before
Mhm.
art. So what made you want to become an actor? Was it because a love for films? Were you always expressive when you were younger? Was there someone in your family or a friend or something? I know sometimes like a family member helps people
Yeah,
go into like acting or music. So I wanted to ask you, where did it all start?
I would say basically from the womb. It's just it's weird. I have a weird background, because I come from a family of engineers and teachers, but they're all very much art oriented, not like Art the Clown, but just
Yeah, yeah.
involved in the arts, like music and artwork and all that. I mean, my parents, like my dad sang in the choir, and my mom directed a lot of the church plays, and my dad
Oh,
would act in the church
nice.
plays too. So that's where I first got my start, was doing oddly enough, plays about Jesus and everything like that. But
Yo, you made a way different turn.
yeah, oh yeah, yeah. But it's like because yeah, I was always very animated growing up too. It's like I just love to entertain people. I was like that at home, but I was very shy at school, especially when middle school, because I went to a brand new school. No one knew me, and so I was picked on a lot, bullied, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, yes, it wasn't fun. But like I sang in the school choir, and that my eighth grade year, we did a production of Mickey's Christmas Carol.
Oh, nice.
And my mom was like, "You do a really good Mickey Mouse impersonation. Why don't you go out for that role of Mickey? It's like, let these kids see a different side of you at this school for once." And I'm like, "Yeah, I think I'll do it." So I got the part, and we were doing the performance and everything on stage, and things started to go wrong on stage.
Oh
And
no.
usually when you're watching children's theater, especially with kids in the show, something goes wrong. They just kind of stand there like a deer in headlights and go,
Yeah.
and I didn't do that. I would just go with the flow and just start making jokes about stuff. And so like, there's like this one scene where our cardboard background for Scrooge's office fell down on top of Scrooge and I, and our
Oh
heads
no.
are poking out from underneath it, and I'm like, "Mr. Scrooge, I think we have rats." And then like there's like when we're doing the the Cratchit family scene where the whole like, "Oh, we just had this meager dinner, a little chicken." Well, the table broke, and the it
Oh
launched
my god.
the chicken over the audience.
Oh my god. This is the most violent kid show
Oh
ever.
yeah, it was like, good God. And I didn't miss a beat. I'm like, well, I guess we're having fast food tonight, folks. As if and the audience is just dying laughing during all this. So I'm just improving on stage, making jokes and all that kind of stuff, and have the audience just laughing with me. And I'm like, that was like the first time I had really experienced that at that school. People are laughing with me for a change instead of at me, and I'm like, I love this feeling.
Yeah.
I love. I'm the one in control right now. I have all the power right now, and I'm bringing so much joy and happiness to people. I love this feeling. It's just like if you've never been involved in this type of like doing music or anything like that, it's a certain feeling when you're getting you can just it's this energy that you get.
Yeah.
It's like a drug in a way.
Yep.
It's a wonderful feeling, and I want like I want more of this. And so my mom's like, well, let's get you more involved with like doing community theater and everything. So I started doing
Awesome.
that, and then now I was trying to be practical and pragmatic. Like I said, come from a family engineers and teachers, so it's like I don't know if I can actually make a career out of acting because the likelihood of ever making it big is very slim. I want to be able to support a family, so I was like, I can still do theater on the side, but I need a real job.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I come from family teachers. I love kids. I'll go into teaching myself. And so I got a degree in teaching, and that seemed to be going great. And then my mom passed away when I was in college,
Oh
and
no.
she had cancer, good old fucking cancer, and that kind of changed everything. Because like our last conversation, she imparted probably the best wisdom she could have ever given me. And it's just like, don't do what you think you have to do with your life. Do what you want to do with your life. You only get one shot at this, so do what you want to do, what makes you happy.
That is really good
And
advice, actually. Yeah.
yeah, and I was doing my internship about a year later, and I just was not in the right frame of mind because right before I went back to do my internship, in a month's time, my dog died, my
Oh
grandmother
no.
died, a friend of mine committed suicide, and my sister married a homeless man that's now in prison for like molesting children. So it's just
Oh
like there's
no. Wow.
a lot of crazy stuff happened saying this like a year after my mom died. So I was like in downward like mental spiral, and I was just making mistakes left and right in the classroom, and I'm like, what is wrong with me? But like there was this one day I was reading story to like the kids, and I was doing all the different voices and stuff like that for the kids, and I was having so much fun. They were having fun, and I'm like, dang, this is what fulfills me more. It's like entertaining people than just teaching them. Like this is what I need to do. This is what mom was saying. This is what she was trying to hint at. And so I called my dad up. I'm like, Dad, I don't think I want to teach anymore. I think that I my calling is supposed to be on the stage. And I expected a huge bunch of pushback from him because NASA engineer, and he's like, "Oh no, your mom and I always thought that's what you needed to do. We just didn't want to tell you what to do with your life."
Yeah. Wow.
And like, really, he's like, "Yeah, just take a year off, get your head back in the game, then you can like finish up that last semester, and then go do what you want to do." And that's what I did. And, I finished up everything, so I have that teaching degree to fall back on. But I moved up to New York about you know a year or so after that, and haven't looked back since. I mean, for 13 years, I struggled though. I was doing like off Broadway shows, occasional tour, like Grinch, and that one thing led to another, and led thing, and then Terrifier came along and didn't have to wait tables anymore.
Yep. And now you are a slasher icon, which is
Yes.
another really big feat as well. Being like amongst like Michael and Jason, and seeing art mixed in there must be a really good feeling. Like I don't
It's
even know how
crazy.
I would address that.
I still don't. It's been a few years now, and I'm still like, this is, oh no, this I just to be in that league of villains, insane. It's absolutely insane.
And also, you're doing a lot of conventions and stuff too. So seeing everybody lining up for you, like the Scarecon that we went to, was as like all for you. Essentially, it was like you and I
Yeah,
think Phantasm was there too,
yeah,
and both really big, like things in the horror universe and community. So it's awesome to see that you went through some hardships, but
yeah.
you're on the top right now, man. Like
It's crazy.
you,
I'm enjoying the ride, man. I can't knock it. So I'm just like, I just feel very lucky. It's all serendipitous.
mhm.
I was at the right place at the right time for this.
Yeah, that's awesome, and I want to see other things with you in it. So I wanted to ask you, is there any other projects that you're working on other than Terrifier 2 at the moment that you can speak about?
Yeah, yeah. I've been also working on another film with a lot of the Terrifier 2 team, the Fuzz and Lens guys. Uh, Mike Levy, he was the exterminator that I decapitated. He's directing this, and like his brother and their friend Steve are the two cops that come in at the end of the film. They're also on the production team, and it's this film called Stream, not Scream, but Stream, like you
Oh,
stream
I've been
something
seeing a
online.
lot of advertisements for
Yeah,
that.
yeah. It's like we're almost finished with principal photography because we did a Indiegogo campaign to add some extra stuff in there, and this is like the casting for this is insane. It's like a who's
Yeah,
who of like horror villains. It's like we have like Jeffrey Combs, Dean Wallace, Danielle Harris, Lisa Rose, Dave Sheridan, Daniel Roebuck, Tony Todd.
yeah, it's
It's
huge.
just this cast is there's some other people they haven't announced yet that I haven't talked about, but I'm like, oh my god, this is to be in this film, which they're hoping is going to be a franchise in itself, is it's insane. That just be on that set was awesome, and like like even scenes I wasn't in, like when Jeff Combs was working, I was like, can I just come and watch
Yeah.
today? I just want because that's how I learn. I didn't go to school for acting. I just learned from watching other great actors. So I love. I'm always watching other actors. Every actor I've worked with, I learned something from. I'm always putting stuff in my mental Rolodex, and so it's like I just going on set and watching Jeff work was just like a master's class for me. I was like,
Yeah.
this is great, and like even if there was like a mistake or something, that's like it made me feel better because I get a little when I fuck up or something like that. I'm like, sorry guys, let's do it again.
Mm.
I'm like, everybody does it. It was good to see some, even like people that have been doing this for years still have those moments where like, oh shoot, okay, let's do it again. Let's do it again. It's very very humanizing in that
Yeah,
way. It's like, yeah,
exactly.
everybody messes up. It's okay. You can do it again. We'll do another take, and it's but yes, being able to see those kinds of people work was just great. I was like, I mean, these are people I watched, growing up my whole entire life, and to be able to work on the same kind of project with them is pretty insane. So that's probably coming out next year.
Yeah,
Then
I'm really looking forward to that one as
uh,
well.
that's gonna be fun. And I recently, about a month or so ago, was in LA filming for a few days. It's a top secret project that's coming out this Christmas, hopefully. It's a
Oh.
it's a Christmas horror story, and it's based on a very popular Christmas story. I'm not at liberty to exactly say who I'm playing in it, but it will make your heart grow 3 sizes.
Oh my God, yes. Oh, that's
So
perfect. That's
yeah,
perfect.
yeah, it's just something like where it's like, how has this never been made into a like like into a parody of this as a horror film?
Yeah,
So
that's actually
it's
really interesting because
yeah,
that hasn't been a thing.
no, it's like so yeah, that's we finished filming that, and so I think they're just doing the final touches on it, and they should be making the big announcement and all that kind of stuff soon. So I'm excited for that. I had a blast on. I had an awesome stunt double for that too. So it's like I had fun. I had fun. I can't wait for people to see it. It's pure camp. It's
Yeah, the
so it's
best.
like oh yeah, it's like it's cheese to the max, but in the best way. So it's like
I really do
even
like
like
cheesy
the
movies,
oh yeah,
especially when they're
even the
horror.
oh yeah, even the practical effects are like pure cheese in that way. I think so. Just like it's fun though. It's fun. It's like we had fun. We're like we know exactly what we are. This is pure parody, pure just camp. Let's have fun with this. So I love it. I love it. It's like yeah, it's like
Oh,
I hate it when, especially when it's something like this. Like you can't take this seriously. You just gotta have fun with it.
yeah, exactly. And this is cool. We got three big things coming out with you in it, all
Yeah,
within like a year and a half span to 2 years.
it's
That's
gonna
awesome.
be crazy. It's gonna be crazy, and who knows what else is in the stars for me. I saw something recently. The Duffer Brothers are about to do a series based on Death Note, and I'm like, oh my god, I want to play Ryuk so badly.
Yeah, get on that. I would love to see
Yeah,
that.
I'm like, God, I would love to play that role. I'm like, come on, I got to talk to my agent. I'm like, okay, how do we get me on this? Because I
That would be
want to play
awesome.
Ryuk.
Just get your feet wet in everything possible. Just
Yeah.
make your resume huge. That's
Yeah.
really really exciting. Um, so have you always been into horror and all things spooky?
No, not really. I was a little late to the game because my mom was a big chicken when it came to horror films. She thought The Fall of the House of Usher was the scariest movie she had ever
Oh
seen. And
wow.
yeah, it's you've seen the movie, so you know
Yeah.
nothing scary about this. But she thought that was horrifying. So she wouldn't watch horror films. I think the only horror film they ever really watched was like Poltergeist. 'Cause I remember seeing that when like they had a viewing party of that at our house when I was a little kid. It's like that was my first real introduction to horror, I think, because I
Mm,
snuck out of my bedroom and I was watching it, and it came to the whole clown scene, and I was like, ah, and I ran back to my room. But my mom even used that movie to scare me as a kid because I used to sit right in front of the TV. She's like, if you sit in front of the TV, you're gonna get sucked into the TV like the
oh
little
no.
girl. I'm like, oh no. And so there was a few years of my life where I would give the TV a wide berth when it was on.
Just to
Because
touch it, just to make sure.
yeah,
That's
and
really
that's what I
funny.
did eventually. I was like, wait a minute, mom. Yeah, I totally because you believe your parents. You're just like, oh, mom says this is gonna suck me in. I'm not gonna do it. So yeah, but yeah, I didn't really watch horror films. My dad liked them. He would watch them late at night on like sci-fi once everybody went to like bed and stuff like that. But no, we didn't watch them. So it wasn't until my senior year of high school when Scream 2 came out, and
Yeah.
I was doing a show at the time, and like there was a girl in the cast I had a crush on, and everybody was going to go see Scream 2, and she was going, and she asked me, "Are you going to go?" And I'm like, I can't, chicken out now
Yeah.
from this girl. So yeah, sure, I'll go. And I went and I had a blast. And I'm like, oh my God, I don't know what my mom's talking about. These things are so much fun. And so like the next year when I went to college, my roommate and I, he came from a very very naive kind of like Southern Baptist family where they were like, not like the bad type of Bible thumpers. They're like the Flanders, and they're just
Oh,
very
okay.
just oh gosh gee, just so saccharine sweet and everything. And so they didn't watch horror films. So we would go every weekend and just get stacks of tapes and just try to catch up on everything we missed out on growing up. So that's it. Like I'm like one weekend we did all the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. Another weekend we did all the Halloween movies. We're just
Oh
like
yes.
so yeah. We caught up and we had fun. Then that's when I started more getting into it. And that's I think that's why slasher films are my favorite genre because that's really what I you know first started watching. I have a soft spot in my heart for them.
Yeah, and I agree on that one too. My first horror movie that I can remember was Halloween 1978, and I have a bunch
Yeah,
of masks over here. It's a little hard to see, but I am
yeah.
obsessed with Michael Myers, and
Oh yeah.
there's definitely a little bit of Michael Myers in Art the Clown. I would definitely
Oh
say.
gosh, yes,
Um,
definitely so.
so with him being lumped in with all like the big four is so awesome to see, and it's awesome
Yeah,
seeing you thrive in the horror space, especially be going into horror late in your life. It's really really cool, and it's treating you well. The horror
yeah.
community loves you. Everybody wants you on their films. I feel like everybody's always talking about your art or anything that you're a part of. And it's really cool and seeing shirts with you on it and conventions dedicated to you
Yeah.
is really really cool. You're-
It's pretty interesting. It's just like wow, I never imagined anything like this in my life.
yeah, horror does well with everybody, so
Yeah,
it's
it's a great
awesome.
community. That's I love going to the convention so much because it's just like I've made so many great friends doing them. It's just I usually go to the after parties and stuff like that. It's just I love to hang out with everybody and just kick back and it's kind of cool. It's because like the horror community is my type of community anyways. We're a bunch of entertainment geeks. So
Yeah.
I love like and Damien's the same way. I mean he's a huge horror geek himself. So like we always love finding other people. I just like to sit down and chat about movies. We'll do that all night.
Yeah. That's what I like doing here, especially on the show. That's why I got this podcast going, and actually being able to interview, people like you. It always blows my mind when I'm able to talk to people who are, very. I'm not gonna say like huge in horror community, but I think you are probably the biggest guest I've had on. So this is like a dream come true for me,
Oh,
and being able to talk to you. I've met you previously, in a sea of people,
yeah.
and being able to have like one-on-one with you and learn about how you kind of became who you are today, and the hardships that you went through, and seeing that you're thriving a lot now is very humbling.
I can't complain. I just can't complain. It's been a fun ride.
Yeah, and I don't want it to stop for you, because I want to see everything with you in it. Anything campy and crazy in the horror realm. I want to see art just like go into other people's movies and just like mess with them. That would be so funny.
Oh, that would be fun. I would have fun with that. I don't know how Damien feels about it. Like, oh god, that would be fun. I love that kind of idea that he could just whoop, whoop, into just cause chaos everywhere. Or just all of a sudden he just shows up in some rom com. It's like, oh no,
Yeah, that would,
makes
that
an
would be
appearance
awesome.
on the Kardashians. Just
Oh my god, yeah, that would be great seeing art in that one. Just in like the background, just like honking his horn, doing some silly things.
yeah.
Would be
Oh
would be
god,
so
I would have
funny.
fun. I was just like, sure, why not? Why not? It's like, yeah, I don't think he has to just totally be tied to just being on Halloween and stuff like that. I think he could make his rounds everywhere else and just show up.
Yeah. Ah, man, this was really fun. Um, I have one last question before I'm gonna let
Mhm.
you go.
Okay.
Out of all of the movies that you have seen, do you have a favorite horror film?
Yeah, I am. It's hard to name my top horror film, because there's so many good ones. Oh my god, there's so
Yes,
many good ones.
yes.
But like, I would definitely say like Nightmare on Elm Street Part Three ranks up there as one of my favorites. Though that like the first two Halloweens, I think they just work so well as a, a set.
Yeah,
I was just like it just feels like one big huge movie. It's just so good. It's just even part two. I mean, oh my god, and I don't think part two gets the love it should get. I mean, that's such a tense movie. Like,
I agree.
oh my god, the cat and mouse game that goes on in that film is just great. And it's like I mean, of course, I love Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original one. That's just, oh my god, they're so good. They're so good. I just like the original slashers. It's just like there's something great about all of them. It's just
Yeah.
something that sticks with you and stays with you and like transcends time. It, they're fun to watch over and over again. So that's one of the things I love hearing the people watch Terrifier over and over again.
Yeah.
It's not just like, a lot of films I'll just watch one time and I'm like, okay, I'm done. But like, yeah, there's testaments to like, there's something about slashers where like I enjoy going back and watching them multiple times. They're just kind of fun. It's a fun ride to go on.
Yeah, I agree on that too, and it definitely goes to show that slashers are here to stay, forever. Like there's movies that go way back that are still super popular till this day,
Yeah,
and people are still obsessed with. And I know Terrifier is definitely going to be
yeah.
one of those movies that's going to be here forever. People are always
That's
going to
what we
talk
hope.
about it.
That's what we hope. That's I mean that was it was our love letter to the genre. That's like I look at art as being like an amalgamation of every single slasher icon that came before him.
Yeah,
There's little bits and pieces of everybody inside of him. It's, that's our love letter to the genre, and I hope in a way that we're going to inspire other, you know, creatives out there to get back into this genre and start finding new things to do with it. Breathe new life into because I mean I love Mike Myers too, and those type, but like we need new blood out there.
yeah,
We need something fresh and new, and so I'm hoping art's gonna lead that way.
yeah,
So
and it'd
we'll
be really
see.
cool too. If other characters, throughout however many Terrifiers are going to be, if he starts creating other people like himself or finding other people like
Yeah,
that. I don't know if any of that happens in Terrifier
yeah.
2. We'll find out. But
you,
yeah,
you
it'd
you
be
might
really,
you
really
might
cool.
find some stuff out that happens in part two. It's like it's like I like to think that his madness is a little bit infectious in some ways. It's just like I mean you kind of see that with Victoria.
Yeah.
It's like that's really I kind of look at like the first film as being basically a killing joke type of story where it's all about how one person's had a really bad day and it drove them to lunacy.
Yeah, that's actually a
And
really good way to put that movie.
yeah, it's
Um,
like I get that a lot of people like, oh, there's no plot. No, no, there is a plot. It's just
yeah.
it's really not about art. It's what drove Victoria to kill someone with this perfectly normal, young woman that was in college, had a whole life ahead of her. What drove her to this state that she's in
Yeah. I cannot wait. I really, really can't.
now?
There's actually one other question that I was just thinking of that I think would be really fun to answer. Since art does a lot of wacky things, was there one thing that you have done on either of the movies, probably more the first one, without you giving away anything happens in two? Was there one thing that you did that just made everybody on set laugh so hard, and like including yourself? Because I feel like you riding the little trike that must have been
Yeah.
so hilarious.
Oh, that's definitely one of them. That's definitely, that night was, I think, night three or four of us going straight through, like maybe having all of us having maybe 3 or 4 hours of sleep every single night. So we're delirious at that point. And just that bike itself was the funniest thing because at first we didn't even know if I was going to be able to ride that thing because it was so tiny and I'm 6'2" and I had those big huge shoes on and I was determined to ride it. I was like, no, I'm going to make this work somehow because this would be so funny because you're not expecting something like that. Just like here he is in the middle of chasing someone down after just doing some horrible things, and all of a sudden he's just riding this little miniature bicycle around just to fuck with the person. I'm like, this is fantastic, and it was hilarious. I'm because oh my god, I was falling off that thing so much because it's that floor is really slick and like I would just boom, sideways for no
Oh my
reason.
god.
The wheels will start spinning and I'm not going anywhere. And I'm like, oh god, oh god, oh god. And we're just laughing. It's like the crash you see me when I hit the stairs and stuff like that. That was a real moment. That was not planned. That was just I had a hard time steering the thing and,
That's great.
So yeah, that was like everybody's just dying laughing the whole entire time. Like Damien's like, we got to keep that bit in because that's just so funny. And like another example of that kind of stuff happening was like that where he just kept something in that made the whole entire crew laugh was when I flicked off Victoria after she stabbed me in the foot.
Yes.
That wasn't in the script. Damien, I even approached him, I was like, should I ever flick someone off or something like that? He's like, no, that just seems too contrived. So we never planned, but I was just joking around with Samantha because like, okay, we got to do it again. And I had the camera still rolling, so I just flicked her off. I was like, "Crack you for stabbing me in the foot."
Yeah, that's a really good moment in the movie.
Yeah, it's like we got to keep that in. So yeah, we had stuff like that happen. It's like we had a lot of hilarity. It's like there was a moment in part two where it doesn't spoil anything at all, but it's one night. He'll probably kill me for telling this story, but it's Elliot who plays Jonathan. He's like a teenager. He and his family are pure vegan, and so they eat a lot of that food that sometimes just makes you a little bit rumbly and tumbly.
Yeah.
And we're sitting there one night. It's like really early in the morning. We're tired, and we're waiting for them to set up another shot. And we're on a crash pad, which is like the foam pads you use for stunt work and stuff like that. And we're just sitting there waiting, and I just hear his little voice behind me, just like, "Hey, David." I'm like, "Yeah, buddy, what's up?" And there's silence for a second, and all of a sudden, the ground starts shaking underneath me, and he just lets out this gut rumble of a fart.
Oh my
And I
god.
was like, I did not expect this sound to come out of his body, and I'm like, oh wow! And because it lasted forever too, and I was like, that was amazing. It's like you hear about the story of like Andre the Giant farting on the set of like Princess Bride. This was the same
Yeah.
thing, and I just could not stop laughing for like 5 minutes. They're ready to roll, and I just couldn't go because I was laughing so hard because I just kept on thinking about that moment. I was like, that was amazing. I was like, that was, yeah, buddy, that was awesome.
That's really really
Yeah,
funny. Oh
I
my
think
god.
farts are hilarious. I think they're the
Yeah.
funniest things
Same.
ever. Because we had takes sometimes like there's a stage where you see it even in the trailer where I'm doing a backswing with one of my weapons, and one of the times I was doing it, we had beef tips that night that
Oh
did not
no.
miss, and I'm just like, and I'm like, whoop, and I was hoping that no one heard it, that they had not been recording sound, but then I hear everybody in Video Village just start laughing their heads off. I'm like, you heard that, didn't you? I am sorry. I am so sorry. And I'm like apologizing to my co-star. I'm like, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. I'm mortified. But they're all just laughing their heads off because it was just so funny. It worked so well. I'm like, I wish we could keep that in the movie, but I hope maybe that makes it to the blooper reel or
Yes,
something like
yes,
that.
we
Because
need that.
like I'm going to be like 90 years old and I hear a fart and I will just start laughing my head off. It's just one of those things. It's like I'm so juvenile in that way. So it's just like, yeah, it works though because you can't have fart without art. So,
Yeah, that's very true.
and he is silent but violent.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, that's very very true. Oh man. That's hilarious. I cannot
Yeah,
wait. I'm gonna go actually rewatch Terrifier after this because
I don't blame him.
I'm definitely I'm due for another revisit of that film.
Yeah.
Especially getting ready for the release of this one in the fall.
Oh, it's gonna be
Oh
good
man.
because it goes straight into the ending of part one goes straight into part two. So it's just like you might just find out what happens to that poor guy in the morgue.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
This. Oh my God. I can't wait. I need a screening now.
Yeah. Oh, and we can't wait. It's so just a few more months. We're so excited. I
Yeah.
mean, I haven't even seen the full cut of it yet. I don't want to see the full cut until I have an audience with me because I want to experience that with an audience.
Yeah. I don't blame
That's
you.
how the first film was for me. And it's like that was an amazing experience. I want to go through that again. I mean, we did show like 4 minutes of footage last year at Texas Frightmare, and it wasn't even a scene where a kill happened or anything. It's kind of maybe leading into one, but
Hmm.
it was just art doing art. It was almost kind of like pizzeria scene where he's just totally
Okay.
messing around with people, and like everything was landing the way we wanted to, and then some. It was like a freaking rock concert, and I was almost in tears on that stage, just how everybody was receiving this 4 minutes of footage. It was just insane. I'm like, yeah, I want to see the whole entire film from my first time with that type of experience. So it's a beast of a film. I'm like, it's over 2 hours. It's huge.
Oh wow, so it is definitely
Yeah,
longer.
it's
Okay.
a huge film. And it's just, and we tried to cut. I mean, originally it was about almost 3 hours, and we
Oh,
cut
I
it
want
down.
that cut. Come on, three
Yeah, I
hours.
know, I know. It's like Damien cut it down as far as he could, but now it's just like there's nothing more we can cut without sacrificing big parts of the film. So it's like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's because the kill scenes are just so crazy and over the top. We don't have second long kill scenes. It just we have one that probably lasts about 4 or 5 minutes.
Oh wow.
It's
Okay.
insane, and so we went crazy with it. And so like, yeah, we're not cutting that.
Yeah, rightfully so. You should be going crazy.
Yeah,
Oh man, David,
yeah,
this was awesome, and thank you for for taking some time out of your day to come and do this. I know we've been planning this for a while, and actually
yeah,
being able to sit down and do this finally, it's gonna
yeah.
be great.
Finally,
Finally.
I'm so glad we finally got to do this. It's been a long time coming.
Yes, and I know that we'll probably meet up again at conventions and whatnot. And I always
Oh, definitely.
extend this out to all of our guests. If you ever want to come on and talk about anything, review a movie or anything, you're part of the family now, and you're awesome,
Cool.
super down to earth. So anytime you want to come on, my
Definitely.
DMs are always open.
Well, there's definitely going to be a lot to talk about once part two comes out. So,
Yes, we'll have to get you back on for
yeah,
that for
definitely,
sure.
definitely, definitely.
Oh man, I'm gonna probably go to an early screening if there is one near me when that's released, and just tell everybody to go and see it, because if you haven't seen Terrifier, the first one, you need to do it now, right now. About
Yes.
like for the next 10 days, watch it 10 times. Because it's a great film, and your acting is superb, and everybody in it is great. Just how nutty everything is, and I really cannot wait for part two. So
Me
thank you
neither,
so
man.
much for being on here, David, and sacrificing a little bit of time.
Oh, you're very welcome, man. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, this was super fun. This was the Barrens Hideout Podcast. I was your host, Dustin, and that was David Howard Thornton as Art the Clown, or you can go the other way and say that was Art the Clown as David Howard Thornton, however you want to say it, because he is you now. So thank you so much, David, and we will definitely be chatting again.
Sounds great, man.
All right. Have a good one, everybody.